2-1, discussion items, YMCA of the Central Bay Area Child Development Programs.
Yes, President Dice, members of the board, it is really a pleasure to be able to just say a few words to introduce this item. When I was here in the district before, one of the people that I learned to appreciate tremendously and respect tremendously is the lady that's standing in front of you now, Pamm Shaw, who is executive director of the Berkeley Y's, or I guess it's called Central Y of the Bay Area now, so early childhood programs. And when I was here previously, I have never in my, at that time, 38 years of experience in public education, ever met anyone, number one, who was so knowledgeable about early childhood programs, who was so knowledgeable about the technical parts of the funding and all the complexities. But foremost, I think, for our district, someone who is really committed to supporting what we're trying to accomplish in our district. Pamm is a visionary, but can support it with practical knowledge and information. And we had great conversations about the future vision of what the partnership can be. So it's a pleasure to introduce Pamm Shaw to you, who is just a very valued partner in our efforts to educate our students. And she is going to present, I think this is part of an annual report that she presents on the programs that they have been running in our district. And I think she may touch a little bit upon what possibilities there might be in the future. So welcome, Pamm. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, board. Okay, let's see if this will work. You should have the PowerPoint as just a back and a front. So I will start walking through it in the nature of time, since we're running as late as we are. And if it comes up, fine. And if it doesn't, you got it in front of you, or you can hear me, and I'm going to add my 2 cents. I love Emeryville, and I love the fact that we are partners in crime or in development with children here. Some of you have seen our classrooms on this hallway here. I love being in this building and sharing it, and your new superintendent already joined the staff for lunch last week, I hear, and I hadn't even met him yet. And I'm only good because my staff is so good. So all the kudos that I got from Dr. Sugiyama, I really appreciate it, but my staff will be the first to tell you they make me look good. And the people out here are some of our best teaching staff that we have in the YMCA of the Central Bay Area. And we are called the Central Bay Area. We used to be Berkeley, Albany, because we moved out to Pleasant Hill and took over the Y out there. So they created the Central Bay Area, which doesn't look like this is coming up, so I'll just talk about what we do here. We have been, never mind. We have been operating in partnership with the district, operating the state preschool program in conjunction with Head Start out here for the last 12 years. Since the day I got here, basically, we formed a partnership. The district has state preschool funds from the California Department of Education, and they contract with us to operate them. We started out with 48 part-day preschoolers, and we've cut the contract through state cuts and whatnot. So we're down to 20 full-day, full-year preschoolers that are funded by the state, and the rest are funded by Head Start and other sources that we bring in. Right now we're serving 34 preschool children and 16 infants and toddlers. We're starting at about 10 months out here now, and this is really where, oh great, thank you. This is really where the need has been with infants and toddlers. Looking at the residents, because you all like to know how many Emeryville residents or 94608 residents are actually in the center. This is the lowest percentage that we've seen this year, and I'm not sure what happened this year compared to other years. I asked our enrollment person about where we're at next year, because we're basically full for next year already for September, and the numbers are higher next year already. But 16 of the preschoolers out of the 34 are Emeryville residents, and 9 out of 16 of the toddlers are. We are serving 30 Emeryville children at other centers. So we have 4 other centers that we directly operate in Berkeley, and we partner with the Berkeley Unified School District so that 100 of those Head Start children there are operated in the 3 Berkeley Unified Centers. So there are some Emeryville kids there as well. For fall, we're looking at, I was going to tell you who's going to kindergarten too. So out of the 14 that are going to kindergarten, 3 are going to Anna Yates for sure, 2 Berkeley Maynard, 2 Berkeley Unified, 2 private, both of whom are in religious schools. 1 to Oakland Unified, 1 to Albany Unified, and then 3 who we didn't have the count on. But I'm assuming those 3 will be Anna Yates or Oakland, which is usually what happens. Oakland has not been given inter-district transfers lately, and so some of those kids in Oakland who want to come here have not been able to, and I'm not sure how we can help facilitate that happening. But next year we're adding 8 more preschool children. Eventually, we'll get up to 24 in each of those classrooms. We're hoping that the state will expand this year. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the state funding that's coming down. But we're adding these children from the Head Start cuts last year. We're adding them in this year. And we're exploring expansion with other agencies. There's a $50 million proposal out right now to expand Early Head Start, which is the Birth to 3 Head Start program, partnering with childcare agencies. And so we're looking at who's in Berkeley, Albany, and Emeryville. We have talked and met with Emeryville Child Development Center a couple of times and looking at trying to partner with them. And I'm not sure how that's going to play out because they have to bring a childcare subsidy with them. And currently they're not serving any subsidized infants and toddlers and do not have a contract to do so. So we'll have to see how that'll play out. But we're still talking to them about it. Our self-evaluation, which we're required to report to the board each year, you should have had a copy of in your board packet, so I'm not going to bore you with the details. We use 4 tools to measure our quality in their programs. We use environmental rating scales to assess the physical environment and some of the other pieces. We use a tool called CLASS, which is assesses adult-child interactions and is probably the best tool to determine quality of early childhood programs. We use an assessment tool called Desired Results Developmental Profile that is required by all state-funded programs. Then we do a family survey to see how they like the program during the year. We develop quality improvement plans based on that, and we follow those plans pretty much to the T. So the findings, looking at the areas in need, and this is in your report, so I'm not going to go into detail. And when they say need, it means that kids score a little bit lower in those areas. Our kids here are doing great, and they're scoring at or above where they should be at this point in time, especially the little ones, the babies, the 1-year-olds. They've met every single goal we've set for them and then some. So to watch their development is kind of miraculous when you see children that are so young, and then they transition to the preschool when they turn 3, and they're just out there gung-ho, and their language is extraordinary. Anybody who comes in not speaking English is definitely speaking English within a couple of months. So it's really kind of exciting to watch and see. The family surveys, 100% of the families here are satisfied or very satisfied with the programs. A couple of the concerns were they'd like to see more languages spoken by staff, primarily Spanish. Right now we have only 1 Spanish-speaking teacher. We're in the process of hiring another one. We're recruiting all the time for that. And then the hours of operation. We've operated here from 8:30 to 4:30 pretty much for years, and the families need full-day childcare. So next year we'll switch from 8:30 to 4:30 to 8 to 5, and eventually it'll probably be even longer than that. But for right now, we're going to try and do that. What the future holds? Well, God, we were so lucky this year. The feds have got money for us. The state has money for us. Early childhood has made it onto the radar screen. People are finally realizing that brain development occurs more in the first 3 years of life than at any other time. And in the first 5 years, it's about 90% of what you're going to get. So if you don't do it by then, you're probably asking for a lot of issues later and down the road. We're looking at some very positive opportunities for expansion of services. We're looking very closely at the needs of the community, who's here, what we need to be doing. We're looking at some other stuff, and I'll talk about that in a second, too. We're looking to expand services for infants and toddlers. We've got 16 here. We're going to, again, look at the community and see what's needed. We've been participating in a county-wide quality rating and improvement system, and this was our first site to participate. It's a 2-year project to raise the quality of the program. They come in and assess the staff, so they do pre- and post-assessment using all the tools that we talked about earlier and then some other things. On a scale of 1 to 5, we scored a 4. That was only 3 agencies in the county scored that high, and we're striving for a 5. There's some things that we need to do to make it better, including the playground outside. And if those of you who've looked at it, you can see it's a whole lot better than that pile of dirt that was here a few months ago. And we're going to finish that this summer. Looking at more coordination with Emeryville Child Development Center, even around staff development activities. We're going to finish the playground work this summer, develop a Birth to 5 plan for the Ralph Hawley site, and I hope we'll do that with a new superintendent and some of you as well. Some other things that we're looking at, which is kind of really exciting, I have an intern this summer from Wellesley College, and I've got her looking at trying to work with the districts to get 3rd grade reading scores for Head Start kids so we can see where our kids are and start tracking that. If third grade reading scores are the defining factor of how successful a kid is, we want to know how the Head Start state preschool kids are doing when they hit third grade and then up until that point. So we're going to try and do something this summer. I'm going to try and have her working on that. We'll figure out, I see you've got data systems up there, so I don't know what your data system is like in terms of accessing that information. If we gave you a list of names, if you could find out the kids' scores, and we'll figure out some confidentiality agreement around it. The other thing that we just set up today is a meeting with the special ed director and looking at bringing your kids back home and dual enrolling them all in our preschool classes rather than having them be sent out of district for special ed segregated classes. That's my baby because my background's in special ed, so I'm really excited about that. So we're meeting with Dr. Steele in a couple weeks and talking about what the potential is for doing that. So we're really excited about that. There's some other stuff, but I won't bore you, and I'll let you move on with your agenda. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Michelle? No?
Question about the ECDC connection and the expansion, and is the issue on their end that they would have to go out and have clientele that would qualify,
Yes.
and that they would need to apply for grants or the
So we would
are these
apply
state
for
funds
it.
or federal
and
funds?
This is federal funding on
Okay.
this. And we will could do the application process. We
Mhm.
will provide technical assistance and support. We will provide monitoring and oversight for any child who they want to enroll in Early Head Start. They would provide the child care services, though. It's the core program would be theirs. And
Mhm.
we're looking at partnering with several agencies around the county to do this.
Mhm.
But for Emeryville CDC, they don't have a large low-income population, and right now, their infant toddler population is all fee-based. They have no subsidized infants and toddlers. We know that there are a number out there because of our wait list, too. I mean, we're serving enough. And we know that we have 15 infants and toddlers in other places. We also have pregnant women that we work with. We have a pregnant moms, pregnant family program. And then the kids trickle in here once they, pretty much as soon as there's an opening, the parent wants it.
Yeah.
There's
And
very few
they're
that stay
looking to
around.
increase enrollment too, aren't they?
I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, that's my understanding, and yeah, so is it possible for, if you've got a wait list, and especially if they're Emeryville residents, but even if they're from the broader area, are you able to help them? Do you know if they're open to your saying, look, if you take these folks and we'll help with the grant, then you'll get
Right, but they have to
enrollment?"
bring the child care subsidy piece, and they have a very, very small contract right now that just serves 20 preschoolers.
Mhm.
And we talked to them about converting those slots to infant toddler slots, but it wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be enough.
So that's the piece that I was really talking about.
Right.
So they need to go get the child care.
They need the child care subsidy.
And is that state or is that
State
federal?
money.
Yes.
So the
that's
child
state,
care
it's
part
not
of the day is state, and here too, the child care
Mhm.
part of the day is state. I mean, we just wrap it together so it's all one full day program. So
Mhm.
it's not like this part is state preschool, this part is Head Start. It's all together, and the staff are, a percentage of their salaries are paid by both funding sources. And that's the same model that they're looking at for this funding.
Mhm. Okay, thanks.
So there may be some possible opportunities. We're not closed off yet.
Mhm.
They could bring in alternative payment vouchers if there's enough families to do that. There's other sources of funding that they may be able to tap into.
Yeah, I guess, do you know if they're trying to do that, or they have the capacity of staff to try to make that happen, or are they,
We're still at the
They're trying-
preliminary discussion levels. The
Okay.
problem is the grants are due August 20th,
yeah.
and I want to take a vacation in August, so I want this
Yeah.
done the end of
I hear
July.
you. Okay. Appreciate your help on that.
Yeah, thanks. We'll continue to pursue them as a partner in other arenas if this doesn't work out. And it looks like there's going to be more federal and state money down the road for expansion on both fronts. The state is looking to get every 4-year-old in preschool programs. So we're on a path for that now.
You know, Michelle, this has always been a marvelous program to have in our district. And it's actually been one of our main feeders for NEAs into our kindergarten classes. But, you know, there's a few questions. So what can we do, and I hope no one from Berkeley hear me say this, what can we do to get those Emeryville students that are in the Berkeley Child Care Development Program into here, into this program. Because I'm a little surprised, to be honest, I'm a little surprised that, this year we only had 3 preschoolers going to NEH. When, I mean, in previous years, we've had like
Right.
15, 19, 20, 15?
More like 10.
Okay.
10 or
anyway,
12. I mean, there's
10
only
to 12.
14, 15 graduate, going on to kindergarten.
Right. So, I mean, this is, even with 10 to 12, 3 is pretty low this year.
Right. And there are more kids going to more different districts. This is
Right.
the first time I think we've had kids going to private schools,
Okay.
which is interesting. And I'm sure they're on full scholarships there or grandma's paying.
Okay.
In terms of, the Berkeley Unified kids, we don't do their enrollment, so you'd need to talk to the
Don't-
staff there that does their enrollment. And I am not going to step into that one.
No, not
Thank
here.
you for offering.
Not on camera.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. That's good to know. Thank you.
Going back to your last comment about the state desire to expand preschool, and it's been a big, Senator Steinberg's been a big push. So what would that look like if that happens? Would
So you're going to move out of here when?
well, that's the question. Would this place be full?
I
Would,
hope
would
so.
Ralph Hawley,
I hope so.
be a fully functioning thing? Would ECDC, be full, or would they be able to take some of that, or is that? I've been thinking of that as more of a transitional kindergarten or pre-transitional kindergarten thing than a. But is it going to fit with preschool, like hand in a glove? Is that what that is?
It is preschool.
Yeah.
I mean, transitional kindergarten is preschool,
Mm-hmm.
or should be.
Yeah. So is the barrier that people they're keeping them at home because they don't have the funding and but the population is there that we would fill this place?
I don't know. I think in terms of where I would love to go with this, it's not having all low-income kids here. I think low-income kids need to be mixed with higher-income kids, middle-income kids, and kids learn from each other, and they need to learn from each other at the youngest of ages. So my fantasy would be that we have a mixed age range, mixed income levels here. Emeryville Child Development Center sort of does that, but right now they're more fee-based for our higher income families. But if we opened up and we had enough licensed capacity to be able to do that, I would love to be able to do that. And the services we offer are comprehensive services. We do family services, family support, screening of all children. They get medical exams, dental exams, vision screenings, and they get all this as a requirement. So anybody would get the same thing if they're in the classroom in the program. So we're identifying kids very early. So I'm hoping that's where we go. I'm hoping that we can, figure out how to partner with special ed and get the kids back here in the district and maybe serve the other kids here rather than sending them out to, Piedmont or they're in Albany now, I think is where most of them are going.
Pam, when I was here previously, and I know we talked about what the options were for expanding Head Start, because even back then we had some Emeryville residents whose kids went to Head Start outside of Emeryville. And wasn't there, so there is a cap on the enrollment here based on what the licensing allows, is that
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Is the licensing strictly based on space, square footage, or does it also,
Square
is
footage
it
and
also a
toilets.
function of funding?
Basically, square footage, toilets and sinks, and
Okay,
health
s-
and safety stuff, but we
But
can,
there is technically additional federal funding to expand in terms of enrolling more students if the licensing allowed it?
right now, we don't have that capacity. If there's expansion available down the road, then yes, we would have it. We'd be able to move more slots
Okay.
here, or if Berkeley Unified gave up some of their slots because they're serving 100 Head Start kids, so if we cut their slots, we could put more here. And that may happen down the road, actually.
Okay.
So, getting back to that point, what would it take for this facility to be able to hold or serve a full slate of kids that would would maximize the space here at this site? Would we have to do any kind of reconstruction? We have to do any modernization? I mean, would there have to be some type of construction done to this site?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We sort of have a fantasy plan, and then we have a reality plan, and then we need to sit down and talk about what it might look like.
Okay.
Everything from the fantasy plan is tearing down the building and creating something that's really for kids,
Right.
to young kids,
Right.
to looking at what we've got and renovating this, and then, you know, upgrading things. I mean, there's everything from, is Mark in here?
Mm.
You know, the plumbing is horrible, the heating system
Right.
isn't great. I
Right,
mean, you
right,
know,
right.
the district office
Look
knows
at
what
you.
we're dealing with all year. Is he running by there and saying, don't tell
Yeah.
them that?
Because you know, that's one thing that the board needs to, and the district really needs to look at as far as a master facility plan. And this site has, by the board, has been deemed prenatal pre-K. So if we're going to, you know, stick by that, and we need to do some cosmetic work or even maybe a new building, that would be good to know in the early stages.
Right.
Right. So
And I know
we-
when Josh Simon, when he was on the board, was looking at new market tax credits and other options for doing, you know, major facility renovation and improvements for
Well, if you
this
stay
site.
here long enough, that's on the agenda, you may hear that.
I'm sorry, but I probably won't be.
Well-
No, that's okay. I'm just saying.
I just had a comment. I absolutely appreciate, you know, the fact that you are this, I mean, bountiful resource to our families
you.
and our young students, and especially for the families that need and require the services that this program provides. I was actually a member of the ECDC. I forgot the task. I'll call it. It's not the task force, but the actual advisory committee. Thank you. Thank you. But and I think, you know, some of the decisions they've had to make, you know, were definitely because of budget, you know, concerns, and the fact that we absolutely have a haven. It's not the only, you know, it's essentially the only other option in town for families who are not able to, you know, participate in a fee-based or in the fees assessed from that program. So for me, it's critical that even in terms of future state, we have, you know, we think the diversification of the program is definitely would be ideal. But I think at this point, to be able to meet such a critical need for this community, 94608 including, I mean, it's really powerful. And I'm really grateful that it's a service that's provided.
Thank you.
And an opportunity for families to really engage and have their students, their young children, you know, 10 months, did you say? From 10 months on.
But we'll
to-
bring babies, younger babies here if when we get to expand.
See, that's, I mean, that's powerful. Families, you know, people don't make decisions to have children without having some thought to, you know, post when I go back to work or whatever. I mean, so in order to have an option, this is really powerful for us to have that. So I just wanted to, you know, publicly appreciate the work and really the partnership to ensure that we have a safe haven for our students and our young people here. So really wanted to appreciate you.
Thank you. And I strongly encourage you, if you haven't seen our classrooms or the
it's
program, to
cute.
please come visit.
They're adorable.
Please come visit.
I think we have kids who have crushes on staff members here. I think it's really adorable. It's really cute. But
you.
are there any other comments from board members? Nope. And just before you go, I just want to open it up to public comments. Any members of the public wish to address this particular topic?